Welcome to another Story Saturday on 11/11. When I was a kid, I had crushes on a number of classic movie stars. I still have one on Cary Grant. The earliest one I recall was Paul Newman. My sister once told me that when I was about 2 or 3, the movie Cool Hand Luke was on TV, and I waddled over to put my hand on the screen, transfixed by Paul Newman and his blue eyes. Here's an edited one-paragraph synopsis based on the film's Wikipedia page. When petty criminal Luke Jackson, played by Paul Newman, is sentenced to 2 years in a Florida prison farm, he doesn't play by the rules of either the sadistic chain gang captain or the gang's resident heavy, meaning the guy you don't want to cross. Dragline, the heavy, ends up admiring Luke's unbreakable will. Luke's bravado, even in the face of repeated stints in the prison's dreaded solitary confinement cell called The Box, make him a rebel hero to his fellow convicts and a thorn in the side of the prison officers. After escape attempts, punishment, standing up to the captain in front of everyone, and so on, Luke is shot in the neck. The captain makes a point to have Luke taken to a hospital far away instead of a nearby facility where he can get treatment that might save his life. The audience is led to believe Luke won't survive. The most famous line from the film is a chilling comment about communication, as you shall see right now. Welp, YouTube made us pull the clip that showed the scene from Cool Hand Luke that was so famous with the line about having failure to communicate, so I will put in the description box a link so you can see it elsewhere on YouTube. Now back to our regular programming. Clearly, communication is touted as being an important aspect of Cool Hand Luke, and it's portrayed in ways that highlight both positive and negative consequences. The line, "What we've got here is failure to communicate," perfectly encapsulates the struggle between Luke and the chain gang captain. The captain enforces rules through punishment rather than clear communication, leading to misunderstandings and resentment. On the surface, it seems reasonable that the captain would be frustrated with Luke's rebellious behavior. The captain sees Luke's defiance as a simple refusal to follow orders. But the captain himself isn't really communicating all that well. He relies on punishment and intimidation to enforce rules and order, not clear instructions, and he makes no attempts to understand Luke's perspective. Luke's acts of defiance, like eating 50 hard-boiled eggs or attempting escape, can be seen as attempts to communicate his spirit and unwillingness to be broken. However, the captain interprets them as disobedience, pure and simple, furthering the communication breakdown. Despite the harsh environment, moments of connection occur through shared stories in the film. Luke's tales of his life on the chain gang entertain and inspire his fellow inmates. These stories foster a sense of community and shared experience. The film highlights how a lack of empathy hinders communication. The guards and captain prioritize control over understanding the inmates' perspectives. This lack of empathy fuels the conflict and prevents a peaceful resolution. The captain's repeated line about failure to communicate can be interpreted as a self-serving deflection. He doesn't actively listen to Luke or the other inmates, leading to a cycle of punishment and resentment. It can even be said that the failure lies with the system, not Luke. The captain holds all the power, and their communication is a one-way street. Luke has little choice but to resist or comply. Luke's defiance can be seen as a way to communicate his own message. He's not just being difficult, he's expressing his spirit and resolve not to be broken by the system. The film was released in 1967 during the Vietnam War and the Civil Rights Movement. The failure to communicate has been discussed as a broader critique of authority figures who refused to listen to dissent or understand opposing viewpoints. So the failure to communicate speech is a layered statement. It's the captain blaming Luke for a problem the captain himself creates. It's a metaphor for the power struggles between authority and individuality. It reflects the social and political tensions of the era. And it highlights the dangers of a system that prioritizes control over open communication. In essence, the film is a cautionary tale about a lack of communication. Cool Hand Luke doesn't offer a simple answer. It shows that clear communication is crucial for understanding, building trust, resolving conflict, and the consequences and dangers of a rigid system that prioritizes control over open communication. Your tiny task today is to communicate with someone you have not been on the same page with. Choose a topic that is non-controversial. It could be as simple, or not, as discussing where to hold the next family holiday dinner. If that's too triggering, discuss something that you do not have strong opinions about, so if you need to acquiesce to their point of view for the sake of peace, you haven't sacrificed anything. Use all you've learned this week to communicate effectively, and don't give up until you are on good terms with the person. This will sow the seeds for better communication going forward. Wishing you success, not failure, to communicate. Tuta.